Alright, what's up everybody? Joe Fortin here. I'm here today just to make a quick video, kind of just providing some more evidence for the video that I recently made about twin flames and morphogenetic resonance in terms of the telepathic communication and the changes that you see in your counterpart over time. Even if there isn't any contact, and why you will see similar changes that you've been through yourself reflected in them, even if you don't know exactly why, in the initial stages of this dynamic. So I was talking about subspace communication and scalar wave technology, right? Now, if you go on any standard scientific website right now, the status quo is that basically what they're going to tell you is that scalar waves are, the idea of them is pseudoscience, and that it doesn't exist, and basically they'll laugh you out of the room, right? They've all been trained to do that. Again, Tesla had this all worked out 100 years ago. Okay, and basically the glorious three-letter agencies that we're also fond of went and took all of his research and they suppressed it, right? Because these groups, these factions, use this research and use this information for themselves, and they keep it from the rest of humanity, and they suppress it so that they can maintain their power and control, and they can continue to siphon off of us. Well, that shit is coming to an end, and so this is a research paper that I found on PubMed. So this is actually a government website, and this paper was retracted. So I'm going to give you three guesses as to why, and the first two don't count. I haven't looked into who this guy is or anything, but I can almost guarantee you it's the same story that every scientist who, stumbles upon something that they're not supposed to has. Basically, what happens is, the status quo, the the people that are holding the cards, for the medical journals, and the people who are in the pockets of big pharma, and so on and so forth, basically ridicule these people. And if they continue to publish their papers, or they continue to do research and be loud about it, eventually what happens is they get suicided, right? And that's our pleasant little term for they get killed, and it looks like they committed suicide. Much like what I believe happened to my friend Arnie Lerma. You should go look him up. So, I'm well aware that what I'm doing poses a risk to me. I don't give a shit. We need to do what's right. So this is the abstract of the paper. This is the paper. It was called DNA and Cell Resonance. Magnetic Waves Enable Cell Communication by Konstantin Meyl, M-E-Y-L. That may not be pronounced correctly. DNA and Cell Biology, 2012. Now, I will also note that although I did drop out of college, while I was in college at University of Maine, it was my intention to be a biochemistry major. So, this is not foreign to me, for those of you who watch the channel. Anyway, abstract. DNA generates a longitudinal wave that propagates in the direction of the magnetic field vector. Computated frequencies from the structure of DNA agree with those of the predicted biophoton radiation. The optimization of efficiency by minimizing the conduction losses leads to the double helix structure of DNA. The vortex model of the magnetic scalar wave not only covers many observed structures within the nucleus perfectly, but also explains the hyperboloid channels in the matrix when two cells communicate with each other. Potential vortexes are an essential component of scalar waves as discovered in 1990. The basic approach for an extended field theory was confirmed in 2009 with the discovery of magnetic monopoles. For the first time, this provides the opportunity to explain the physical basis of life, not only from the biological discipline. Nature covers the whole spectrum of known scientific fields of research, and interdisciplinary understanding is required to explain its complex relationships. The characteristics of the potential vortex are significant. With its concentration effect, it provides for miniaturization down to a few nanometers, which allows enormously high information density in the nucleus. With this first introduction of the magnetic scalar wave, it becomes clear that such a wave is suitable to use genetic code chemically stored in the base pairs of the genes and electrically modulate them so as to piggyback the information from the cell nucleus to another cell. At the receiving end, the reverse process takes place and the transported information is converted back into a chemical structure. The necessary energy required to power the chemical process is provided by the magnetic scalar wave itself, which I believe he's referring to 0-point energy in the field there. So he's saying that essentially this process is powered by 0-point energy. So what it's saying is that, in basic terms, what it's saying is that within a body, one cell at the DNA level has the ability to produce a signal, which is then received by another cell, and then that signal is actually turned into, a molecule, right? So when the other cell receives that signal, it constructs a chemical structure that is, the instructions of which to build that it is given by the other cell, right? That's essentially what he's saying, right? And so this essentially could be likened to morphogenetic resonance, as I've suggested. And the morphogenetic field could be likened to the etheric body field, right? So if you've ever seen pictures of Kirlian photography, like one of the things that they'll do is they'll take a photo, right, of like a leaf with a piece of it that's cut off, right? So you'll have a leaf. If I can find a photo, I'll edit it in. But you'll have a leaf, right, that has a certain shape, right? And they'll cut one of the points off. But when you take a photo of it with Kirlian photography, it'll still have the point. It'll still basically have like what you could call an auric field where the structure used to be. And I will find a photo and edit it in here, which is suggesting that there's still a residual field from the original structure, right? So how does this relate to twin flames? Well, because you share a genetic template, right? Especially in the higher DNA strands. Basically, what's happening is that there's communication between what you could call your DNA template and their DNA template, right? Everything that's going on in the body, everything that you experience is encoded in the DNA. You could almost think of the DNA as like a fractal antenna. It's like a means of transmitting and receiving scalar and electromagnetic information and frequency. One of the things David Icke talks about is, that the human brain, and I would argue the entire human physiology, acts more like a transceiver than it is like a producer of consciousness, right? It's more like a prism almost, or like a magnifying glass, right? It bends the frequency and it transmits the frequency that's coming through it from higher density planes, higher dimensional planes, right, in such a way as to create what we see here, right? It's not easy to explain in terms of language, and it's harder to explain. Well, it's hard to explain even on a conceptual level, right? And these will be things that I will have to hone and work on as time goes on in terms of constructing the proper metaphors in order to communicate this information, right? But suffice it to say that what we are being taught in Western medicine and in the mainstream scientific community is a fucking load of horse shit, and it's extremely limited, and we're being lied to. We're being lied to. It's that simple. It really is that simple. It's not, this doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. If you scratch beneath the surface at all, you will figure this out. There's so much technology and so much that's been suppressed. We've had cures for cancer. We've had cures for autism. Who's the latest one that I found that got suicided? I was just told about this today by my homeopath. I think it's Dr. James Bradstreet. Is that right? Look him up. Dr. Jeff Bradstreet reportedly shot himself in the chest. Maybe it was like Gary Webb, who shot himself in the head twice after he exposed the CIA for running drugs. Twice? Yeah. Just like all the people that were going to testify against the Clintons that suicided themselves, right? If for 1 second you think that you're not being completely fucking lied to by your government, I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you. The level that people are in terms of being asleep, how asleep they are, is so fucking mind-boggling to me. I can't even deal with it. I mean, the shit that I hear spilling out of people's mouths when I go out in public is just like, ugh. You are a repugnant fucking creature. I'm gonna be done. Have a good night. I hope that you watching this are not such a repugnant creature who would squander the ability to lift an eye to heaven. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below and click the icon to your left to subscribe. New content every week about spirituality and addiction from myself, Joe Fortin. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.